While most people in China were wearing Mao jackets and riding bicycles, our next guest was in the remote province of Hangzhou, pioneering the potentially subversive ideas of contemporary art. He was in the first wave of people from China who studied abroad, taking in everything from the wider world. Through a remarkable set of circumstances, his home is now Vancouver, where he edits the most important international magazine on Chinese modern art called Yishu. We are so blessed. Please welcome Zheng Shengtian.
Reading through the list of previous speakers, I found some familiar Chinese names, like my friend Clement and Henry Zheng. But they all grew up in Canada. I doubt if they can give a 7-minute speech in Chinese. Recently, I read an article by New York Times critic Colin Carter. He pointed out that some of the New York's biggest art museums lack a global mix of voices. He wrote, "If archaeologists of the future unearthed the Museum of Modern Art as it exists today, they would have to assume that modernism was a purely European and North American invention. They would be wrong. Likewise, if the people in the future who watch the video of our public salon, they would assume all Vancouverites speak perfect English, but they would be wrong too." With the aim of introducing contemporary Chinese art to English-speaking readers and encouraging critical writing on art, Ken Lam and I launched an English-language journal on contemporary Chinese art in 2002. Thanks to the editor-in-chief, Keith Wallace, our devoted staff, and our publisher, Katie Chen, in Taiwan, the journal has entered its 13th year and has been subscribed to by major universities, museums, and libraries around the world. The name Yishu, meaning art in Chinese, was inspired by a journal on African art, Nka, published at Cornell University. Nka is a word in Igbo language that can be translated as the English word art, but they are not exactly the same. To use a word from the language where this culture bears demonstrated an important position we stand. We also choose a format of traditional Chinese thread-bound book to display the uniqueness of this publication. So this is the magazine, we use this format. French philosopher Jacques Derrida has written about the paradox of translation. He said the translation is both impossible and necessary. In 2000, I organized a tour for a group of international curators traveling to China. We visited many studios, schools, and museums and met with Chinese artists, curators, and critics. In many occasions, our poor translator had an extremely difficult time making people of both sides understood each other's. And often the deeply frustrating struggle failed. During the discussion at the China Academy of Art in Hangzhou, a brilliant British scholar, Sarat Maharaj, spoke of his concern over this cultural mistranslation and misreading. He mentioned a conversation with me on how Western art historians had mistranslated ink paintings of the Song Dynasty. But the discourse had stimulated a lot of interest at the same time. Then he posed this question: are there moments of mistranslation that can be creative, produce new lines of thinking and invention, and new forms of culture? As a cultural worker, I agree with Sarat's point completely. I further developed this idea in my essay misreading and the rereadings. I propose that it is practically impossible to achieve 100% accurate translations or grasp perfect understanding. However, the process of misreading and the rereading should never stop. It was pure chance that this idea was developed into a visual form. I am a trained painter. One day in my studio, I discovered the unpredictable effect of ink dropping on oil-based canvas by accident. These two media are each characteristic of their own artistic practice: ink for Chinese brush painting and the canvas for Western oil painting. I was very surprised to discover that the way they resist and transform each other so closely resemble the experience of cultural confrontation and dialogue. When the traces of brush stroke shrunk on the canvas, the characters become unrecognizable, but they left amazing patterns that look like an abstract painting. For my presentation, I choose the Chinese version of American critic Clement Greenberg's text, Modernist Painting, to be written in ink on canvas. This classic text on Western modernist art was one of the earliest translated into Chinese. I used a home video camera to record the process. My wife, Icon, did the calligraphy. So it's her calligraphy, not me. And I get help from my friend Hank Bo in the voice recording. The complete video installation was shown at the exhibition Word and Meaning, curated by Professor Shengtian at that gallery of New York State University and Ohio State University. I had always wished to recreate this work since the original was not refined. Last year, I invited Professor Wang Dongling, a leading calligrapher from China, to collaborate with me to reproduce this project. For this piece, I choose text by Zheng, a famous Chinese literati of the early 15th century, the preface of landscape painting. This is the first essay on this topic written 1,500 years ago. We realized that project in Hangzhou last April. The video was shot and edited by my longtime friend, Don Li Leger. Don is a multimedia artist who has dedicated so much of his time and effort of the on-site video shooting and the post-production. I just cannot thank him enough. The video has the soundtrack of the English version of this original text. By using Google Translation and text-to-speech feature, I added another layer to this presentation of misunderstanding and misinterpretation. Does the modern technology help us to better communicate with each other, or does it confuse us more? This video installation was exhibited in Beijing last July and again in Chambers Art Gallery in New York last month. Wang Dongling and I were also invited to do a demonstration of Chinese calligraphy in the beautiful Ming-style garden court. He wrote 4 large characters from the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu's writing, 道法自然. It means the way reflects its own nature. And I explained how a calligraphy demonstration could be viewed as a modern performance art. Let me finish this talk with another quote from this wise man Lao Tzu. Understanding others is intelligence. Understand yourself is true wisdom. Thank you.